and welcome to JRock's Pop Culture Revolution. I am your host, Jason JRock Houston, and I will allow our guests to introduce themselves. David, why don't you start first, since this is your first time on the show?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. My name is David Perez. I am an actor and filmmaker.
Okay, and how long have you been a filmmaker, David?
I have actually been making films for about 5 years now, acting for 10. About halfway through, needed to start getting into making some projects myself. So dove into it head first, didn't know what I was doing, and have slowly been growing from there ever since.
And then, of course, Sarah Jane is my returning guest. Yeah, you on it towards the end of last year, Sarah Jane. I love the name Sarah Jane. Is that your screen name? And I was curious how you came up with that.
So it's actually my full legal name. But I don't really go by it. I just go by Sarah. So I just figured since I'm getting into, acting and now filmmaking and all this stuff, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna need a stage name. So I'm just gonna go with Sarah Jane. Just
Yeah. And so when I welcomed you to come back on the show, Sarah, you'd ask, hey, do you mind if I bring my friend David? And he's introduced himself. So I understand the two of you right now are working on a project together. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. Go ahead, Sarah. Take it away. Yeah,
No, go
go
ahead. It's all
ahead.
you.
Okay. So Sarah, about a year ago, she approached me after we worked on a project called Cabin that I wrote, directed. We filmed it all together. We had a great chemistry. It was fantastic. And she sent me the idea for Myth. And initially, from the conception of it, it was way different from how it is now. But it's for the
Oh,
better.
different.
So completely different. But the main portion of the story is still there, still holds strong. So from that, she contacted me, asked me to be a part of it. She wanted me to act in it, direct it, alongside her as well. So jumped at the chance, and just very excited to try and bring the story to life. We are currently in a rewrite
Okay.
for like the third time, which anybody out there in the business knows that these constant rewrites of the script, they come. It's fast paced. You get an idea that compounds on top of another idea and another idea, and it's like these are all amazing. So you got to really try and center yourself and focus on what the story's about. So she approached me with it, and I was just very excited to jump on. So I will let her tell you the gist of the story.
Please take it away, Sarah.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I approached him, I will say this, I was nervous and I was scared. I literally was like, oh my God, I'm gonna make this phone call. I'm gonna make this phone call. And he's like, hey, what's up, Sarah? And I'm like, so I have this idea. And he's like, okay, shoot it at me. Just so nonchalant, so cool. And I'm over here like jittering and shaking. And by the end of it, he's like, I'm on board. Let's do this. And getting into it, the story, it's true, it was so different. It honestly just it was gonna start off as just another slasher. That's it. Something that it was like, hey, let's just throw people in there and give a great, horror icon character. And, as we were developing it and as we were going through it, David turned to me and said, you know what, Sarah? You got something great. I like the story. We need to take in a different direction. He's like, I feel something about this. And I reread it and I was like, you know what? I think you're right. Let's do it. So the gist of Myth is it's really about a guy named Luke who David plays. He is the leading man in this. And he unfortunately deals with, the passing of his sister, and he goes, back to his roots, back to his hometown where he is faced with dealing with his past, old friends and everything. And there's just a lot of unlocking that happens.
Oh, wow.
So I don't want to give too much away. I don't want to give too much. That's just a little gist. It went from
Just
a
want to whet our
slasher.
appetite, right? You know, and Sarah, let me ask you, just from the gist of what you're saying, it sounds like you're a huge horror fan. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. To be specific, I am huge on psychological thrillers. I
Okay.
really am, especially the old school horrors that really had like a dialogue and story and just like something that just kind of caught you off guard. I love things like that. Yes.
So let me ask you, David. Once she sent you her idea, because I was sharing with Sarah as we were talking, on Messenger last night, and I was reminding her that we were doing this today. I told her, first time she was on the show, she just had such a sudden kind of like a burst of energy, like just full of sunshine. And so my question is, when she first delivers this, I guess, story idea, her story. Talk about how she tried to sell it to you, or did what I'm saying? Was just did she get so excited talking
Yeah,
about
no, absolutely,
involvement?
absolutely. And and as she was telling me, and again, I agree. This just ball of sunshine she
There you
is,
go.
right? And she just came at me and was like she said, a little jittery, a little, and I'm like, yo, like you know me, like we work together, like hey, like what's up? Just talk to me, And she pitches it to me, and she's and this and this and this, and I'm like, yeah, that's for the contrast of your sunshininess, and in the story you told me, I was like, man, you're bubbly, and that's extremely dark. And I was just like,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Like, how do we bring this to life? And again, like you said, with the psychological thrillers, just I'm a big fan of that myself. That is my go-to genre. Whether it's horror, drama, thriller, whatever. I love to just sit in that psychological
Yeah.
thriller aspect. It just makes the mind go. So when we talked about it, as again, we continue to sit and write and do rewrites and develop it, it started to shift more towards that pure psychological thriller. And what she was alluding to earlier, with me bringing that to her, as I was reading the characters, especially Luke, just really trying to sit in his character, sit in his mind, I could just see the difference in the story of there's a lot more behind the scenes that's going to take place, and a lot more is going to come out. Obviously,
Hmm.
like she said, we want to not give away too much, but there's a lot of story and a lot of depth to the character, not only Luke but others. And she didn't mention this, but Luke's sister is being played by Sarah, so she is my sister in the film.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she didn't say
Yes.
that. Yeah, I was waiting for her to drop that, but she didn't. So I will do that on her behalf, and shout her out because she's phenomenal as well. So very excited to work with her again, not only on the
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, you're
back
doing
end
a
of it.
great job in just a little bit of time we've been doing this,
Yeah.
selling this to me, because the way you're describing it, I'm so excited, like, to see the final product when it comes out, and that's a great that you can do that like that. And my next thing I wanted to say is, I'm a fan myself of classic
Mhm.
horror movies. I mean, going back to the original Universal ones from the 1930s when none of us were even alive. I'm talking about the original Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman. But because those were the original monster movies, so to speak. But
Yeah.
I must say, like in the 80s when they started making these slasher films, like you talked about, where it was just kind of blood and guts for the sake of just blood and guts. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm much more a fan of kind of what you're talking about. If there's a purpose for that in the movie, great, but to just have a movie where it's nothing but slasher and killings all the way through, I much prefer like a build up to the story, if you know what I mean, like you're talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
And that's kind of the inspiration that really shaped the story on what we see. Like, starting it off, like I said, it was just a slasher. And then the more we went in depth with it and the more inspiration that was pulled. And this is something that I like to share. It's definitely a fun fact about this movie is there's two characters, Luke himself, and then another character in this film, Emma, and that character was solely inspired by David's wife. Katie, she is such, honestly, she's the heart of why the film has take
Yeah.
place the way it is. Like,
Yeah.
she has inspired me so much. Lovely person, lovely soul. And, it's things like that, along with all these, old classic movies and directors and actors that I have really kind of just looked at and really just drawn the inspiration. And then David and Katie and, his sister Debbie, working with them and talking with them on a daily basis, it just, the inspiration just comes so naturally. We all have these thoughts and ideas, and as we see right now, is what I have in my background. Myth is are what our minds created. So,
Yeah. They,
and
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
so, yeah, well, that's great. Now let me ask you, Sarah. I was curious, how long have you been a professional actress? Oh, when I
not
say professional, I don't know, you
Yeah.
started out doing plays or what, but you reached this point, you know?
Yeah, so, I've always kind of been in the entertainment some way or form since I was little, like little,
Wow.
but that was like in Chicago, that's like family based, working with my nana and everything like that, and then kind of just building towards it. But, I took this long hiatus of like, do I want to do this? Do I not want to do this? Kind of started family, moved to North
Uh-huh.
Carolina, and it was what, 2024? Yeah,
Oh, just a
that's
couple of years.
when yeah, it is in July. I was like,
You
you
had
know
a
what? I'm
upswing
gonna do
trajectory.
this.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's a long hiatus. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm
Making up for
30,
lost
what?
time, right? I mean, yeah, you're
Yeah,
getting the
I'm
game.
32, 33 at the time, and I'm like, well, you know
Oh, you're still
what?
young. You still got plenty of time.
Yeah, I'm still young, but it's like
Right.
in film world, it's like we're 80 years old, so it's like the roles
Yeah.
start to kind of decrease. But you know what? I was like, I'm gonna go for it. There's a
Yeah.
place there for us, and I'm not gonna stop until I get it. And then as I was getting my foot through the door, getting roles here and there and seeing from the shorts to the features to the micros and working with people like David, there's so like greatness out there. Everyone does something
Sure.
different, and I think it sparked something in me to say, you know what? I want to be a filmmaker. Like this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
I want to create those opportunities. So this is where I teamed up with David and I said, "Hey,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
here's
Wow.
this."
And so,
And
David, you mentioned that you're an actor yourself. How long have you been acting? I was curious. Talk about the point from being an actor to wanting to get into directing.
Yeah. 10, 11, about 11 years now. I believe this is year 11 or 10 for me, one of those two. But I was in the military prior, got out the military, started doing the college thing for a little bit. And a buddy of mine asked me to come do like some photo shoots and like model, and I was against it. And he eventually talked me into it. And the event that I went to was like a networking event.
Yeah.
You go there, you take pictures, you get some headshots, and then you also just meet people from around the business. And just got in touch with a few people. They brought me into the circle and started training me, teaching me some things. And I was like, well, acting is more of what I'd like to try
Yeah.
instead of modeling, just personally. And they threw me in head first, and I just kept on rolling with it. And
And
about halfway through,
how surprised were you,
yeah, go ahead.
David, once you started, getting into the acting and you have people, obviously, because you're at this point where you're doing this and you're still going at it. It must be a great feeling to go from being in the service to having people involved in these projects. Hey, man, I think you're perfect for the part we got. And it must be great to kind of hear that. And probably initially never even thought of yourself as an actor, or maybe, yeah.
Absolutely not. It's just you go from uh, there's a lot of similarities in the entertainment business and the military. The biggest thing for me was just the brother sisterhood, right? The culture. When you're on set with people for so long, that's who you have to rely on,
Sure.
right? Just like in the military, you're working with the people from your unit. Those are the people, your brothers and sisters. You look to your left and your right. That's who you have. At the end of the day. So when you're on set, it's the same feeling. So yes, that feeling, so it's a great feeling. I'm very blessed to be able to be doing this and also be able to meet so many people from so many different walks of life, just like in the military, and sit down, come together. We got a mission. It's the film, it's the show. Let's knock it out and make it great so we can put it out there for so many people to just enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah, and so
yeah.
talk a little bit about the directing, because I mean you're still acting in this project, and you're directing and helping put the story together. So how much do you enjoy that aspect of what you're doing there?
I love it. I love it. And we pivoted slightly, and we brought a director in. So Sarah and I, we are taking a step back from
Mhm.
fully being like in the director's seat because we
Yeah,
want to be able to give that creative freedom to someone. So
Mhm.
Sarah contacted a good friend of hers and brought him into the fold. He's phenomenal. We are very excited to work with him.
Oh
But
yes.
on top of that, other projects that we have as well, some of the shorts, some of the stuff like the Myth,
Mhm.
the proof of concept that we put out. Sarah and myself, we were the ones behind the camera directing that as, on top
Mhm.
of acting. And just the feel of being able to help people get
sure.
to a certain point with their performance.
Mhm.
Honestly, it's intoxicating just to be able to help someone and just watch
Sure,
them and just
sure.
watch it come together. I
Mhm.
love it so much, and just being able to highlight others. And of course, we love being able to give performances ourselves, but really
Mhm.
helping someone get to that point on screen is just it's just a great feeling.
And Sarah, David just kind of touched upon this, but as an actress yourself, how does it feel knowing that you've kind of the creator or writer behind the story, and you're giving other actresses, a chance to take part in this project? I mean, what's the casting been like, and how involved are you guys with the casting?
Very, very much involved. I will say, with this, David did say he's like, "Hey, what character you want to play? You're gonna play in this, right?" Because like when I came to him with it, it was, "Hey, I want you to be the lead," because I will say Cabin, which by the way, he's very modest about it. It was fantastic. Best time on set. Everything he did, editing, filming, the crew he had, it was absolutely amazing on set. Absolutely. And the food was good too. The food was really good.
Important. Yeah,
So I will say that it was prop food, but it was food that we got to eat. So it was good. But and I'm proud of that. I really am. That also it really solidified in my head. My husband, he got to see that firsthand Cabin, which is on YouTube, and it went to film festivals and it won some things and it was in the final selection. So I will say that I'm proud of it. And like I said, it solidified, coming to David with it. And, when he said, "Hey, do you want to act in it?" My first thought was, should I, shouldn't I? But then I'm like, you know what? I want to focus on the writing. I want to focus on filmmaking. So I told David, this is solely what I want to do in just filmmake. And he's like, okay, let's do that. That's the direction you want to take it. Then let's do that. But he's like, you gotta play at least one role, at least make a cameo.
sure,
And
sure.
that's when I said, yeah, okay, I'll play your sister. That's perfectly fine because I had someone else in mind. And and I'll admit, I audition like everybody else. Even if it's my own stuff, I audition like everybody else.
Well,
So
that's cool. I dig that. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned the previous movie was called Cabin. You said people can watch that on YouTube.
yes.
Yeah,
So
on
86 the
86 the
studio.
studio. Yep, one word. I got my hoodie on for
Okay,
the
okay, great.
right.
Yeah.
So 86 the number, and then the studio,
Okay.
all one word. And it has all the work that we've done up until this point.
Oh, that's cool.
Multiple short
I will check
films
that out and
and
maybe have you
series.
guys back
Please
on in the
do.
future. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, Sarah, what's it like too? I mean, probably as an actress, previously all these projects you've been involved with, you're
Mhm.
you're you're focused on the character you're playing, but now this is a
Mhm.
story that you've created. So I imagine besides the character you're playing, all the characters are near and dear to you. So I think when
Oh yeah.
casting the part, you're really maybe critical of these actresses and
Yes, she
as far
was.
as that's not how the character's supposed to be, or maybe,
Yes, she
I
was.
yeah, yeah,
I will say I am like a big ball of sunshine. Everyone says that I am, very hyper, very energetic, but when it comes to casting, there's a different side of me. And it's when you're creating a story and creating characters, they do become near and dear to you because it's like you're building their life from scratch. You come close to them, and sometimes those characters take inspiration from either yourself or someone like the character Emma takes inspiration from David's wife. She's very near and dear to me. So it's like finding someone to play her. I was so particular.
yeah.
And,
That's what I'm
we
saying.
would
Yeah,
go through, yeah, I would go through auditions and right away, David's like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about this?" And I would just send him notes and he'd be like, "All I needed was a yes or no, Sarah." That was it. But it's for me, I don't want to say I'm tough when it comes to casting, but I like to say I look for what fits the part, what fits the character, who is going to make me believe, my story, and David's story. It's our story, what's,
yeah,
gonna make us really be like, wow, they're not just meant to play this person, they are that person. And honestly, the cast that we have, my goodness, the
Yeah.
people we have are just phenomenal.
wow,
Like,
Yes,
I
they
could not ask for a better cast. Like,
are.
to see them audition, David has done a couple of chemistry reads, and wow, like, it makes me so excited to get ready to film this. It makes me so excited to see them bring this to life. It's amazing. Like
yeah. See,
it's
see, that's why
amazing.
you got to be tough, like you just said.
Yeah.
these are your characters that you created. So you're very close to them, even if you're not playing the character, but because it's kind of your creation. Like if somebody writes a song, they wrote the
Yeah.
song a certain way, you know. So they
Yeah.
tell other musicians in the band, "This is how I wrote the song. This is how
Yep.
it's supposed to be played." And as great as the actor could be, maybe they're not playing the part right. And you got to give them a little guidance, a little
Yep.
direction. And then at the same time, I imagine you've had
Mhm.
people come in who maybe took it in a different direction than what you originally
Yeah.
thought. You know, it's like I never thought of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
those are the great moments. During the whole casting process, we definitely had a ton of people, audition, and we're very thankful for everyone.
Oh yeah.
And you can only pick one person for the role, which
Sure, sure,
it
yeah,
sucks, but
And
it's
that's
like
hard.
it's hard. But just being able to work with some people, get a couple callbacks in there, do a couple chemistry reads, and really just again giving some notes, being able to
Mhm.
take that direction and redirect what they did so that it makes sense and fits the script, the way that Sarah and I have wrote it. And like you said, Jason, definitely when some people throw those curveballs in there, you're
Mhm.
like, oh, let's take that and let's kind
Yeah.
of just let's workshop that a little bit so it does lean
Mhm.
a little closer to what was written, but keep that same energy, keep that same tone, vibe, pacing, all
Mhm.
that. And it's just so fun. It's great. I love it.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is. It
And
really
so,
is.
Sarah, it sounds like you and David are like at a totally great chemistry and partnership. But like as the one that initially came up with the story, I was interested. Which is a common thing, you know, in the entertainment business when you're working on a film or something like this. Like you said, the original concept maybe has changed a great deal, but you know, and he starts
Mhm.
putting in his ideas. It sounds like you were very open and willing to let him, you know, go with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's many times that he'll be like, Sarah, it's okay if you want to say no. It's okay if you have a different idea. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I love the idea. Like we're doing this because it's like when you have someone that, connects with you and gets what you're saying and knows how to take that and, make it better, because I always have a bad time explaining something. This is true. For me to explain something, I'm like all over the place. And David can take that and he'll be like, I get what she's saying. And then he can put it like on paper perfectly and, put his twists and turns on it. And it's like, it's a masterpiece. It really is. And this is why
Thank you.
we, yeah, it's a huge compliment. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, and this is why the partnership that we have, not just as fellow actors, but as filmmakers, the teamwork is it's 50-50, and that's
Yeah.
why we have so many other projects that we plan on working on together. And he has brought me onto his studio, so I am part of 86 studio, and it's such a blessing to be here. It really is. Like the team, Katie, Debbie, everyone in between that he has is just, they're all very welcoming. And like I said, they all play a part in the stories that we create and the stories that I
Yeah.
create. It's like, hey, idea after idea after idea. And it's great to have that. It really is. No one is like, oh, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. Like, no, it's fun. We laugh, we have fun. We're just like, hey, it's one big family. So I
Yeah.
enjoy
And,
it.
and David, tell me, like, I would imagine, like, doing a scene with Sarah. Like, again, she seems like she just comes up so alive on the screen. That must be kind of. You ever get lost and like forget that you guys are filming a scene? Like, oh, this isn't real life. You know, like,
Yeah, no, definitely. When we were doing Cabin, we were just sitting in the scene
yeah,
and we were just talking. Like we knew the words were there, but you get to a point where, cool, you've done a couple takes where the words, you got all the
Yeah.
dialogue there. So let's just improv a little bit. Let's just let whatever comes out, and
Yeah.
just the flow of it, and it's funny because again, the character that she was playing in that one was a little more not necessarily opposite of
yeah,
who Sarah is, but Sarah's bubbly over
yeah,
here.
yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, okay, this character over here is a little more subtle, a little more toned down. She's just very calm and soothing, right? So, we're going in and she sits into it, and boom, she's into the calm and soothing. And I'm like, just the juxtaposition of that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's bounce it
But
off of
that's
each other.
not
And it's
me.
great.
I'm not that
Right, right.
calm. I'm not calm at all.
But it was
Yeah,
great. It was fantastic. Yeah.
and I'd imagine doing a scene like that, but you're like you said, that's not typically me. you really must have to take time to get into that character because it's not your natural aura, so to speak, and you got to really get into it, so to speak,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, because I was so nervous going into that. Like I said, I've done shorts, I've done everything, and another one of my other film buddies too, Vincent Massey, he was part of that as well. So it's like I was going into something with someone I knew, and then being introduced to David, seeing how he performs, it was something I've never seen before on set. And it's so crazy because like he was really locked in
Mm-hmm.
and everyone he had there was locked in. And I was like, whoa, this is different. Like this is so different. I felt like I had to be perfect. And this is when he pulled me aside and he's like, okay, I'm going to give you one advice that someone gave me. It's okay to mess up. It's okay. Chalk up the words.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah,
We can always reshoot it.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I have this location till this time. We are good. And it just kind of made me realize as an actress that sometimes we could take ourselves too seriously. Sometimes
yeah,
we don't take ourselves serious enough.
yeah.
And sometimes we're so focused on remembering words that we forget what it's like to really be in this character and really
Sure,
have
sure.
emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was the best advice I think I got. And that's when I realized after that, I was still hyper because there's a couple times that David's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to calm down because I have to film a
Yeah.
scene. You're too loud. And I was like, I'm sorry. But
It
it
was
was
good.
it was so fun. It was so
Yeah.
fun. And at that point, we got to work together and, getting to talk to his wife Katie, us chit-chatting and everything. I became more relaxed and it was so fun. I was able to lock in and lock out and yet again made a few mistakes and David's like, keep it going, keep it going, keep it
Yeah.
going. So it really shaped me as an actress. And I use that now moving forward with any projects I do, I keep that in mind that nobody's perfect. It's
Yeah, and
okay.
thank God you're making movies at this time and age when technology is what it is, and you can
Yeah.
a lot easier to make films. Can you imagine in the 1970s, like trying
Oh
to
man,
film,
with the
film a movie?
film.
Hey,
Oh
time is money.
please,
You know?
time is money. We
Yeah.
got to get it right. Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I imagine, like David was saying, a lot of this is networking. Even what I do, as far as
Yeah.
inviting people on the show, is people I worked with and done other projects with over the years. You reach out to them. In fact, that's how I first met Sarah, a mutual friend named Ben Hicks, who she's working on another
Yeah,
project
yeah.
with. And he said, "Hey, would you mind me bringing Sarah on?" And then after talking to her, I said, yeah, we definitely have to have you come back. And I'll tell you both right now, because I'm pretty sure besides this project, you'll be involved with other future projects. So I'd like to have you both on anytime you guys want to come on and talk, because you guys are really great at talking about your projects here.
Oh, well, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's always fun doing these, I can't lie, I was nervous. I always get nervous, but once you start, it's fun,
Yeah.
I don't know. This is where my shyness comes in.
It's just like when you're getting ready to film something and
That's
you
a
get
beautiful
nervous
thing.
right before the
Yeah,
set, yeah, and then the camera
Yeah.
starts rolling and it's just like, all right, I'm in character, and and you're going.
Yeah.
Love it, love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
and
I
that's
mean,
kind
I'm
of
not.
what
I'm not.
happens.
I'm being honest here. You really, both you guys really light up the screen. I will tell you, Sarah, you don't come across as shy. So if you are, you hide it well. And I give you a great example though. I'd rather have somebody that talked like you guys. I interviewed this famous musician, famous guitar player. He's played with everybody from
Mhm,
Cher and Michael Schenker.
Wow.
mhm,
Very famous guitar player, but
Yeah.
yet when I interviewed
mhm.
him, the interview only lasted a few seconds. I had to end it because it was
Mhm.
like yes, no, yes, no. I'm like, can we have some
Oh,
conversation here? And
oh man, that's
it
rough.
wasn't going
Yeah.
anywhere. So I'm like, well, thank you for taking your time. We appreciate it.
Yes, I
No, that's
wish I
not
could
rough.
be
Yeah, no,
like that.
no,
I
no,
I
no,
can't.
no.
Yeah,
Once I
yeah.
get talking, it's hard to shut me up. I will say that. It's hard. Like,
Well, then you're in the right
you know,
profession.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what
In,
it
in,
is.
in
But
fact, how many of the people involved in making this movie are people you guys already knew that you reached out to in your network of friends?
Oh, Sarah, take that one. Yeah.
oh, let's see.
I don't mean a number, but like a good percentage, would you say?
I want to say probably like 10%. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so low, but that's also amazing because that means the rest of the percentage of people knew nothing about this, nothing.
Mhm.
And they had no idea what anything was about. They didn't know me, they didn't know David, they've never even heard of 86 the studio. But then, auditioning and talking, and even with friends that we know, people in the film industry, yet again, knew nothing, because we really try to keep this hush hush. We did
Yeah.
not put it out there. We didn't want no one to know.
I
Now
was going
it's
to
out
ask
there. We
that. Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, we
So a
have
lot of
the
these people
Facebook
that showed up
page.
that you didn't know, it's kind of just word of mouth. They heard about it somehow.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
We just did the proof of concept. We put out an audition. People started coming in. We started getting questions. Then we made a Facebook page for Myth, and it started getting following. And then me and David are in something else, Twisted Tales, which is what we're a part of.
Okay.
We're both acting in it and also helping behind the scenes with our
Yep.
great friend Nicole.
Okay.
So that built traction. So people started looking into us,
Oh,
and
wow.
then it
See,
started driving
it's all a
people
network.
to
See, yeah,
Myth.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
weird how it happens, but it's so great, and I'm so thankful for it. I really am.
I mean, it proves that
It's
you've got talent and people are interested in what you're doing. I mean, um, you'll laugh when I say this. Myth, you're a legend before the movie's even out. I mean, people wanting to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And that's
And
that's how the I believe that 10%, the director that we spoke about earlier, his name is
Mhm.
JRock. He's the one that
Yep.
Sarah knew him and introduced us, and just the relationship between the three of us was just like, man,
wow.
this is
And so,
fantastic. So
so the,
very very
the
excited about it.
auditions, they all showed up at your studio like they were done live, huh?
No.
Mhm.
Everything's done in on tapes, right? So the whole industry shifted pretty much to taping, unless you have the space for live auditions or the need to keep it,
Mhm.
maybe hush hush. So, but everything was done. Just put the casting call out there in the
Mhm.
world, Facebook, sharing it, Instagram, wherever we could, and
Mhm.
people, they saw it and then they submit their information in and send some
And what
slides out, and
was
then
it?
just wait.
Was it decision making
Yeah,
as
that's
far
it.
as the final casting call? Did that take a while, or did you know right away?
For some of the characters, it was just kind of
Yeah,
like, oh,
we knew.
that's it. Other characters, it's like, man, there was a couple of people that submitted, and it was like, man, they all did a phenomenal job. So it's like, how do you rack and stack? And it's like, it's not racking and stacking because like you're not as good as the other one or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
in saying that, that's something that we deal with in the industry as well. So like, yes, this is our project that we're casting for, but in the same breath, like I have an agent that submits me for things. I submit myself for other people's projects as well. So being in the
Mhm.
room now from both sides of of the table, excuse me, it's like understanding where casting's mind is. It's not that you're not as good as somebody else or you don't have it, or it's just, man, you have something great, they have something great, but which something great
Well,
fits for
doing it
this great
yourself now, you
project?
have a better understanding of how it's done. Whereas
Right.
before, just as an actor, you might,
Mhm.
oh, that jerk casting
Right.
director,
Yeah,
or
and you
whatever.
do. You get upset. You get
Yeah,
frustrated. And for anybody who says, as an actor, and for anybody who says, "Well, I don't get frustrated," you're lying. At
yeah.
some point in time in your career, you
Yeah,
auditioned for something and you knocked it out the park, and you knew you knocked it out the park, and you didn't get the call. So then you
you're
go,
gonna
"Oh
get
man,
mad.
that they just didn't like me." No, that's not the case. There were
Well,
so
yeah.
many things at play, so many things.
David, you were saying at the top of today's episode that the story for Myth has changed so much from what she originally submitted to you. And that is often the case when movies are being made. One of our show's recent episodes I did on the 1984 film Beverly Hills Cop. Now, here's what I found out is
Yeah,
very interesting is that initially when it was written, they had, of all people, if you can believe, Sylvester Stallone in mind.
Stallone. Yep.
And it ended up going to Eddie Murphy because he wanted to make more of an action film where they wanted more of a comedy. So they got
Yep.
Eddie Murphy. I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that, again, not that there's anything, went from like a white guy to a black guy. And it's like, okay, totally different person in mind. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, I think it ended up working out. It was a great film.
Absolutely.
He nailed the
Absolutely.
character. And then what I did not know is, if you ever seen the Sylvester Stallone film Cobra, that's kind
Yep.
of that's his version of what that film would have been like had he been in it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I remember seeing that. Yeah. Go ahead,
and
sir.
I love that you say that. I really do, because now this is yet again another fun fact about Myth is it actually didn't have Luke as a character. It
Wow.
was
Yeah.
never supposed to be a guy at all. It actually started off as a short with a female, named Hallie. And when yet again, I seen David act in Cabin, and when all was said and done, and he gave me the footage and said, "Here you go, guys, this is it." Me and my husband were sitting and watching it, and my husband was like, "You would be a fool if you do not cast him. Like, this is the guy you need to work with. This is the person." And that's what really, like, honestly, it's kind of the same situation. Like, it went from a girl to a
Well,
guy, and this is
I
where we get
think we got
David.
to thank David because David, my God, I think this deserves to be a feature-length film, not a short.
Yeah, oh no, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
it is.
And definitely, yeah, and it is, yeah, we're
Hmm.
very excited for that. We're looking locations, and
Hmm.
I think that's one of the hardest things that we run into for every project, just
Yes.
because it's like we want something that does the project justice. We just don't
Sure.
want to just
Hmm.
let's pick something and go film, and then it doesn't fit.
Yeah.
You
No.
can't take a great piece of art and then throw it in the trash can and expect it to be a phenomenal movie, a phenomenal song,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So we're really trying to dial in
Hmm.
this location and just really treat it well so it can treat the script well.
And so, how far away are you
Yep.
guys from actually starting to begin the filming?
So we are looking to film. So principal photography is going to be
In
in April.
spring.
Yep,
Yeah.
springtime, April,
Springtime.
around that. Yeah, yeah,
Beautiful and
springtime, so
warm, hot
April.
summer weather, right?
Yes, and
Yes.
especially down here in the South where, as soon as March rolls around, it's 1,000 degrees. So, it'll be fun. It'll be
And David,
fantastic.
where are you coming from
Yeah, it's
today?
gonna be fun.
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston. Okay. And how about you, Sarah? Where are you? Same area?
No, I am 4 hours away from David in North Carolina.
Oh, wow. So a lot of this is
So,
done through the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that makes it more exciting. Once you
mhm.
guys are finally going to be in the room together, when you do start the
yeah,
filming. Huh?
Oh
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
absolutely. It
Very
is,
excited.
and I think that's the beauty of this project is, right now taking the time, and I will be honest, I thought I was picky about casting. I am very picky with locations.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of the
Yes.
delay is coming from my pickiness, but that's okay because
It
I
needs to be right.
believe in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You believe in it, and you know that, like David said, you want a location that's going to do the story justice, that's really going to
Yeah.
bring people in. And that's really what I want to do. Like, I think back of the older films, right? And I think back even on films that were made in the early 2000s. Like, one of my favorite films, aside from Stay Alive, right? Which being a horror film, is Darkness Falls. I
Mm.
love that movie. And what made it so intriguing was the town that they used.
Yeah.
That is what really
Wow.
invited people in, is the town, the
Yeah.
aesthetics
Hey,
of it. So this is
hey,
why I
Sarah,
get a little
David, I hate to
picky.
do this because this thing's about ready to cut off.